There are three questions that you need to answer before you start writing your next or probably your first worship song. And these questions are the what, the why, and the how. In this video, we're going to answer the first one, which is the what question. Now, whenever I say what, I'm not talking about the specific or particular theme that you are going to write. I'm not talking about the word wherein that inspired you to write the song, but rather I'm talking about the purpose that your song will be serving. There are many types of worship songs according to their purpose. Now, what I have here are some, I would say, the most common ones that we all worship leaders and worship songwriters should be aware about. Because for normally, if uh, I am a worship leader myself, and for most of the time, if I'm going to make my set list, I would tend to fill out those particular lists on my worship set list by looking at this corpus. The first type of category that I would like to talk about is what we call the call to worship. This type of worship song or worship songs invites people into the presence of God. But you could also say that rather than writing a song addressed to the congregation, such as now is come now is the time to worship, you can also direct your message to God. For example, you would ask to have His presence fall to this place as we come, as we draw near to Him. Um, you can also write a call to worship song without necessarily saying that you are addressing the congregation, but rather stirring that emotion, that longing, that desire to seek God. One good example for that is "By Your Side" by Hillsong. So it's speaking to God and asking God to for His presence. That's the first verse. No, of for His presence to fall on this place. So there are many ways of writing call to worship. It's not always um, being directed to the congregation and literally asking them to come. One of my favorite is written by Paul Baloche, which is "Open the Eyes of My Heart." I think that's also one of the best or a good example of a call to worship song. The second category would be praise and thanksgiving. This one is focusing on celebrating the goodness of God. But you can have this praise and thanksgiving category be a separate categories. Praise are more on singing to God about His faithfulness, His power, and the blessings that He has given us. While thanksgiving is responding to that blessing, is giving thanks to God, being grateful. And it's almost like flowing to the next category, um, which is the adoration. A good example of praise and thanksgiving type of a song is the 10,000 Reasons, written by Matt Redman. So that then the next category, as I mentioned, is the adoration song. And I would say this is the type of a worship song that um, mostly, and I'm sure that comes to your mind, because this one um, centers on God's nature and His presence. A good example for this one is "Here I Am to Worship," wherein the verse speaks about God being the light of the world and then coming to us. And then the chorus is responding to God by bowing down and surrendering and worshiping Him in His presence. And I would say, as I have mentioned, that For most of the time, whenever we say worship song, this is the type of category that mostly comes to our mind. The next one is a surrender and commitment, and this one expresses dedication to God. Now, you can also have this to be a separate um, uh, category. Surrender is more on about giving something to God, like trusting God, while commitment is more on picking up. If you're going to put it in a in an imagery, surrendering is giving your heart to God, surrendering your life to God, surrendering your will to God, trusting Him, while the commitment is more on picking up my cross, building up my faith and to obey God and follow God no matter what. The good example for a surrender song is I Surrender by Hillsong also. And then Lincoln Brewster also has his song Surrender. I Surrender. That speaks about the verses, I'm giving you my heart and all that is within, and then which even get more intense as it goes to the chorus part that I surrender, I surrender. Um, and then the next category would be petition and healing. Now, for the first categories that we talked about, it's either you are singing about God or singing to God on who He is. It's more on responding to God. Now, petition and I would include here healing songs. It's more about asking from God rather than giving to God. A good example is "Lord, I Need You," written by that's his name, Matt Maher. So it's calling God for help. Helping me, Lord, to trust You, helping me, Lord, to worship You, to obey You. Um, so you can also include here healing, wherein you are asking God for specific deliverance. May that be for physical healing. You can also include spiritual, emotional healing, things like that. Okay. So again, there are many types of worship songs that we can also fit in for this category. But again, uh, what makes this category unique is that this is a category that's asking from God rather than giving to God. And then the last one, the sixth one, is what I call the sending out. And sending out, we can also call it if the first category is call to worship, I would name this call or call to response. It encourages believer to live out their faith. You can have the idea of benediction. You can have probably mission, reminding the congregation that we are God's people. We are going to, like as we depart from this worship service or this place, we will continue to live our lives, to live our faith, to do God's will um, to the world. And we can include mission, bringing more souls into God's presence, things like that. So again, as I have mentioned, these are like probably the most common ones, but you can also search for yourself. There are lots of, I would say, websites, worshiptogether.com. I highly recommend you checking that. That would really help you looking for different category for worship songs. You can also include praisechart.com. I forgot if it's praisechart.com or praisechart.net, but you can search it in Google and gather songs, that falls to one you know, gather songs that fall to each of these categories. So that will also inspire you, give you a better picture on what types of worship songs are out there. And on your next worship song that you're aiming for to write, you can try to see how would your idea would fit in to one or many of these categories. And that would really help you also expand, your idea. Because for most of the time, if you're not aware of this, if you're not aware of these options, we just tend to focusing on one of these category. Okay. So on the next videos that we're going to have would be answering the why and the how. So I'm hoping to see you in the next video then.